Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves some breaking news. McLaren have issued a right to review around the decision to issue Lando Norris their charge with a 5-second penalty. Oh, the humanity. What are we doing here? How, ladies and gentlemen, do you like your F1? Rancor and friction. I don't hate this move. Obviously, nothing will get done. There's no way that the FIA are going to subvert themselves, pull down their own pants and rescind the penalty that they issued out to Lando Norris last race weekend. There's no way that they're going to do. But of course, McLaren need to do this. I'll tell you what. If I'm going to be honest, when Andrea Stella said post the last race weekend that they were going to consider this issue closed, I was quite surprised about that. If you're competing for a championship, surely you've got to turn around your baseball cap and get up in the face of the stewards, the race director, with a view to inflict your will upon the circumstance, just as did Jonathan Wheatley and Christian Horner do in 2021. I was surprised to hear Andrea Stella say that. Liam, you're a legend, been waiting for this all morning. Disgrace, McLaren. It's techie, Liam, though. I hear what you're saying, but surely I want to play devil's advocate, Liam, but I cannot. If indeed there is agency and F1 is meritocracy, then surely you've got to argue your case, even if you don't believe it in real time. This, I think, has been what's been wrong with McLaren for the longest time this season, that they haven't played hard and fast, that they don't go all the way up into the line and peer over and sometimes traverse that line, as do Red Bull Racing. Christian Horner's made a career out of doing this. Let me tell you what this right of review entails. Basically, if new evidence occurs, then F1 teams can institute this right of review. Say to the FIA that they need to reconsider this decision based upon this new evidence. Some people say that indeed the beauty of having a mind is the ability to change it on presentation of new evidence, perfect information settings. And this, therefore, is that. The FIA put out a statement saying the stewards have received a petition for a right to review in accordance with Article 14 of the FIA International Sporting Code of Conduct from McLaren Formula One team in respect to the decision of the stewards of the 2024 United States Grand Prix Document 69, breach of Article 33.3 of the FIA sporting regulations in relation to car number 4, the car of one Lando Norris. The team representative is required to attend a video conference with the stewards at 14:30 hours Mexico time on Friday, October the 25th, 2024. In relation to the above, any other concerned party may seek permission of the stewards to appear. It should be noted, however, that this hearing will take place in 2 parts. The first part will be to hear evidence as to whether or not there is a significant or relevant new element which was unavailable to the party seeking the review at the time of the decision concerned. Should the stewards determine in accordance with Article 14.3 in their sole discretion, they say, that such an element exists, a second part of the hearing will be convened at a time to be advised, of course. So your first hurdle then is, what's this new evidence that McLaren are putting forth? And then indeed, if I'm going to see that and raise you this, how could the FIA have made a determination even so comprehensively if indeed there wasn't all of the evidence? The evidence portion that we're talking about is the front facing camera of one Max Verstappen at the time. And again, this is reminiscent of Brazil 2021, right? Lap 40 something, turn 4. You remember we didn't get the front facing camera of Max Verstappen. There was a question, what was Max Verstappen's steering angle like? All these years later, we're still making the same mistakes as far as the FIA are concerned. What are we doing here? You mean to tell me that they made the decision on Lando Norris's 5-second penalty without having all the evidence at hand? This is typical FIA, isn't it? Is it not? What are you doing? What court in the world could you go to where these guys are making a decision so important without all of the evidence? This is nonsense. The FIA are an absolute shambolers moral. Do you know what I mean? McLaren has the same persona as Norris. They need some angst. Too little, too late. I would agree with you, sir. You know what I mean? McLaren need to get moving, and I rate them for putting in this protest. Again, it will be thrown out massively. I'm surprised the FIA even hearing it in the first instance. Okay, so new evidence settings, the front-facing camera of one Maximilian Verstappen. But yeah, further than that, I don't think it will go. It is interesting, however, though, the timing of this from McLaren. Again, in the lead-up to the Mexican Grand Prix, surely they've got to do one of these. They've got to stir the pot. Their charge. One, Lando Norris is 57 points behind Max Verstappen. And at this stage, if not throughout the season to date, every point counts. This matters, Daniel. If McLaren is doing the outside of racing, they are worried. Verstappen and the Ferraris are getting closer and closer. I mean, Daniel, the point is the timing of their worry. Surely they should have had this attitude, getting their elbows out about 6 or 10 or 12 races ago. Do you know what I mean? If you're competing for a championship, then that's what you need to do. But I think McLaren would argue that they weren't ready, are not ready to compete for a championship in real time. This is Max Verstappen's championship, sadly, for all people concerned. And if you want further proof of that than the way he drove, defensive, genius level of defensive driving with Lando Norris at this weekend's Grand Prix just past quota settings, then you only need to listen to Max Verstappen and compare and contrast his verbiage, his nature, his intonation and his countenance as versus his other principal competitor, the other protagonist in the Drivers' Championship, one Lando Norris. When asked about last weekend's Grand Prix, the USA GP, and the incident between himself and Lando Norris, Max Verstappen had this to say: mate, no change. I've said all that I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say any more. I'm not going to see you that and raise you this. Listen, I won, Lando lost. Case closed. Why are we still talking about this? Max Verstappen looked tired even fielding those questions. Lando Norris, however, went deep on it, didn't he? Asking himself questions, Debbie Downer setting. Here's what Lando Norris had to say, and I think this is significant. Again, this is a pathetic fallacy of sorts. Lando Norris's sentiment is absolutely in line, passive, with that of his team McLaren. They haven't been getting their elbows out. Here's what Lando Norris had to say to this effect. Max Verstappen is the best driver in the world when it comes to defensive driving. Should we break that down in the first instance? Why are you even saying that, Lando? That might be true, but how does that help you as far as the championship? Why would you be out here complimenting Max Verstappen, bigging up that dude's chest, giving him all the confidence requisite to win himself a 4th championship in a row? This makes no sense, Lando, as an opening stanza. That Max Verstappen, the dude with whom you're competing for your first championship in F1, big him up, give him all the confidence in the world. He's the best in the world. He's the best defensive driver. Lando Norris continues to expound on this thesis, saying, as at now, October 2024, I, Lando Norris, just am not at that level. I haven't been driving at that level and I've got somewhere to go. Yeah, it's sobering, but that's the truth. Come on, Lando. Come on, chap. At least try and convince yourself that you can win. Do you know what I mean? Even if you don't believe it deep inside, I've never seen a sports competitor at this level be so devoid of confidence, so ostensibly coming out and saying that I'm not the best in the world. Maybe I'll get there one day, but I'm just not there yet. Sometimes they always say the truth will set you free, but in this instance, as far as Lando Norris is concerned, I don't think the truth is helping him. I think you can be too down on yourself, you know, and there will be downside ramifications as far as your performance if indeed you are so negative so much of the time in front of the world's press and media. As far as your performance in real time is concerned, if he's talking that way, that Maximilian Verstappen is better than him all over the shop, defensive driving, best in the world, I'm not there yet. Surely this is a self-perpetuating cycle, is it not? Kayla, Morrell, Turtle? How else do you expect Lando Norris to perform? If he doesn't believe it, how are we expected to? Max will be listening to these comments, these latest ones from Lando Norris, and looking at this latest right to review on the back of the new evidence, thinking, you know what, I've got these guys are, do you know what I mean? They are my direct reports. They are my subordinates. There is no way in hell, Max will be thinking, that Lando Norris, with that mentality, weak of mind per one Helmut Marko, lacking in mental fortitude, there's no way that over the course of 24 races this season or another, that Lando Norris can beat me. He'll need stuff. He'll need a car. He'll need advantage because he doesn't have it. That's exactly what Maximilian Verstappen will be thinking going into the Mexican Grand Prix this weekend. We'll be going live 15 minutes before FP1. Between now and next time, as always, the prosecution rests no further questions. Your Honour.